We live in an age of unprecedented connectivity and relentless demand. An era defined by a pervasive sense of urgency. The consequence is a silent epidemic that respects no borders: stress. It manifests as a knot in the stomach, a tightness in the chest, a racing mind in the dead of night. It is the background hum of anxiety against which modern life unfolds. In our quest for relief, we often look outward for a new app, a vacation, a pill, believing that the source of our distress is out there. The ancient wisdom traditions, particularly Buddhism, offer a revolutionary perspective. The source of our suffering, and therefore the key to our liberation from it, lies not in the world, but in our reaction to the world. The Buddha, a master psychologist of the human condition, taught that our greatest struggles arise from a mind in conflict. A mind that is constantly buffeted by the winds of gain and loss, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. This agitated state, this inner friction, is the very essence of stress. Yet, he also provided a tool of exquisite simplicity and profound power to calm these inner tempests: the breath. The breath, or prana in the yogic traditions and pneuma in ancient Greek philosophy, has always been recognized as more than the mere exchange of gases. It is the current of life itself, the tangible rhythm of our existence. Crucially, it is the only function of the autonomic nervous system that is typically unconscious but can be brought under conscious control. This unique characteristic makes the breath a master key, a bridge connecting the conscious mind to the unconscious processes of the body. It is the interface between our voluntary actions and our involuntary reactions, the handle by which we can directly grasp and regulate our physiological and psychological state. This article will serve as a deep and comprehensive guide to understanding and utilizing the breath as the ultimate instrument for stress reduction. We will journey far beyond the simplistic and often unhelpful advice to just take a deep breath. We will first explore the nature of stress from both a contemporary scientific viewpoint and the timeless perspective of Buddhist psychology. We will then delve into the science of how and why the breath holds such immense power over our nervous system. Finally, we will provide a detailed toolkit of specific, time-tested breathing practices, from the foundational teachings of the Buddha's Anapanasati Sutta to modern, evidence-based techniques, designed not only to pacify acute moments of stress but to fundamentally rewire your baseline state towards one of greater calm, resilience, and presence. Part 1. The Nature of Stress, a Contemplative and Scientific Diagnosis. To skillfully apply the remedy, we must first accurately diagnose the ailment. Stress is a multifaceted phenomenon, and understanding it through the complementary lenses of ancient wisdom and modern science gives us a complete and actionable picture. The Buddhist perspective, the second arrow. The Buddha taught a powerful parable about two arrows. If you are struck by an arrow, it is painful. This is the first arrow, the unavoidable pains and difficulties of life: illness, loss, conflict, disappointment. We cannot control the first arrows. However, if after being struck, you then begin to worry, ruminate, and despair, why me? This is terrible. It will never end. You are then shooting yourself with a second arrow. This second arrow is our own mental and emotional reaction to the first. The Buddha's profound insight was that most of our human suffering, our stress, is not the pain of the first arrow, but the self-inflicted wound of the second. Stress, from this perspective, is the cumulative effect of these second arrows. It is a state of mental reactivity rooted in three core tendencies of the untrained mind, known as the three poisons: greed, clinging, lobha or upadana. We cling to pleasant experiences, wanting them to last forever. We grasp for security, control, and a predictable future. When reality inevitably fails to meet these demands, the result is anxiety, frustration, and stress. Aversion, hatred, dosa. We push away unpleasant experiences. We resist what is happening, creating a state of internal conflict and tension. Road rage, chronic irritation, and resentment are all forms of dosa that fuel the stress response. Delusion, ignorance, moha. This is the foundational misunderstanding of reality. We believe our anxious thoughts are true. We identify with the narrative of a fragile self that must be defended at all costs. And we lose ourselves in past regrets and future fears, completely disconnected from the reality of the present moment. A stressed mind is Therefore, a mind that has lost its anchor in the present. It is agitated and restless, udacha kukuka, ricocheting between aversion to the past and craving for the future, completely missing the only place where life actually unfolds, right here, right now. The scientific perspective, the autonomic nervous system. Modern physiology provides a stunningly parallel explanation in the language of biology. Our body's response to challenge is governed by the autonomic nervous system, ANS, which operates largely outside our conscious control. The ANS is composed of two primary branches that work in a delicate, balancing act. The sympathetic nervous system, SNS. This is the gas pedal or the fight or flight system. When the brain perceives a threat, be it a physical danger like a predator or a psychological danger like an angry boss or a looming deadline, the SNS kicks into high gear. It triggers the adrenal glands to release a cascade of hormones, primarily adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate increases, blood pressure rises, muscles tense, digestion halts, and your focus narrows. This is a brilliant survival mechanism designed for acute, short-term threats. The parasympathetic nervous system, PNS. This is the brake pedal or the rest and digest system. It is responsible for calming the body down after a threat has passed. It lowers heart rate and blood pressure, stimulates digestion, and promotes bodily repair and relaxation. The primary nerve of the PNS is the vagus nerve, a massive nerve that wanders from the brainstem down through the chest and into the abdomen, connecting to nearly every major organ. The problem in modern life is that our brains often fail to distinguish between a life-threatening danger and a psychological stressor. An overflowing inbox, a traffic jam, or an anxious thought about finances can trigger the exact same SNS, fight or flight, response. Because these stressors are often chronic, our SNS becomes perpetually activated, and we get stuck in a low-grade state of fight or flight. The brake pedal of the PNS becomes weak from disuse. This state of sympathetic dominance is the physiological signature of chronic stress. The synthesis, a mind-body feedback loop. Bridging these two perspectives, we see a clear picture. The reactive, agitated mind described in Buddhist texts, a mind lost in clinging and aversion, is a mind that is constantly sending threat signals to the body. These signals keep the sympathetic nervous system on high alert. This physiological state of arousal, in turn, fuels more anxious and catastrophic thinking, creating a vicious, self-perpetuating feedback loop of stress. To break this cycle, we need a tool that can simultaneously calm the mind's reactivity and apply the brakes to the body's overactive physiology. That tool is the conscious, intentional breath. Part 2. Anapanasati, the Buddha's masterclass on the breath. Long before modern science could measure the autonomic nervous system, the Buddha delivered a discourse known as the Anapanasati Sutta, the discourse on mindfulness of breathing. This text is not merely a set of instructions for a simple breathing exercise. It is a complete and profound path to the liberation of the mind. While its ultimate aims are deeply spiritual, its foundational stages provide the most elegant and effective system for stress reduction ever devised. The practice begins with radical simplicity. The instruction is not to change the breath, but to simply know it as it is. The first tetrad, grounding in the body. The initial set of instructions directly counters the disembodied, agitated state of stress. Breathing in long. He knows, I am breathing in long, or breathing out long. He knows, I am breathing out long. Breathing in short. He knows, I am breathing in short, or breathing out short. He knows, I am breathing out short. This first step is revolutionary. Instead of being lost in thought, you are asked to bring your entire awareness to a single, raw, physical sensation. This act of knowing the breath's quality immediately pulls the mind out of the past and future and anchors it firmly in the present. It interrupts the cycle of rumination and anxiety. You are no longer thinking about your problems. You are feeling the reality of your breath. He trains himself. I will breathe in sensitive to the entire body. He trains himself. I will breathe out sensitive to the entire body. Here, the awareness naturally expands from the tip of the nose to encompass the entire body. You begin to feel the subtle effects of the breath throughout your physical form, the rise and fall of the chest and belly, the slight rocking of the torso, This grounds your awareness even more deeply, counteracting the feeling of being a talking head, disconnected from your body. Stress cannot easily thrive in a mind that is fully embodied. He trains himself. I will breathe in, calming the bodily formations. He trains himself. I will breathe out, calming the bodily formations. This is the explicit instruction for stress reduction. Having established mindful presence with the breath and body, one now gently introduces the intention to calm. As you breathe in and out, you notice areas of physical tension, the clenched jaw, the tight shoulders, and you allow the breath to soften and release them. The calming is not forced, it is an allowing, a letting go that arises naturally from sustained, kind attention. The genius of Anapanasati is that it systematically deconstructs the stress state. It pulls the mind from anxious thoughts, delusion, anchors it in the present, countering clinging and aversion, and uses this present moment awareness to soothe the body's physiological arousal. Part 3. The Science of the Sigh, How Respiration Regulates the Nervous System. While the Buddha knew that this practice worked through careful introspection, modern science can now tell us how it works in exquisite detail. Changing the pattern of your breath is one of the fastest and most efficient ways to change your neurophysiology. 1. The vagus nerve, the superhighway to calm. The vagus nerve is the undisputed superstar of the breath-body connection. As the main nerve of the parasympathetic nervous system, it acts as a two-way information highway between the brain and the body's organs. When the vagus nerve is stimulated, it releases the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which has a tranquilizing effect on the body. It literally forces the heart to slow down and the blood vessels to relax. This is known as the vagal brake. The diaphragm, the primary muscle of respiration located at the base of the lungs, is intimately interwoven with the vagus nerve. When you breathe slowly and deeply, allowing your belly to expand on the inhale, diaphragmatic breathing, you are physically massaging and toning the vagus nerve. The effect is most pronounced on the exhalation. A long, slow, extended exhale is the most powerful signal you can send to your brain that you are safe and that it's time to activate the rest and digest PNS. This is why a natural sigh of relief always involves a long exhale. 2. Heart rate variability, HRV, and coherence. A healthy heart does not beat like a metronome, it has a natural, healthy irregularity. The interval between heartbeats is constantly changing. This phenomenon is called heart rate variability, HRV. A high HRV is a sign of a healthy, resilient, and adaptive autonomic nervous system, one that can quickly shift between states of arousal and calm. Chronic stress tanks your HRV. HRV is directly linked to respiration through a process called respiratory sinus arrhythmia, RSA. When you inhale, your heart rate naturally speeds up slightly. When you exhale, it slows down. By breathing in a slow, rhythmic, and coherent pattern, you can dramatically increase the amplitude of this wave, giving your ANS a powerful workout and boosting your HRV. Research has identified a magic rhythm for maximizing this effect. A rate of around 5.5 to 6 breaths per minute, e.g. a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. This state is often called cardiac coherence. 3. The brainstem connection. Deep within the most primitive part of our brain, the brainstem, lie the clusters of neurons that control our breathing. Located right next to these respiratory centers is a region called the locus ceruleus, the brain's primary hub for alertness, arousal, and panic. This proximity is no accident. The two centers are intricately connected and constantly talk to each other. When you breathe rapidly and erratically, as in a panic attack, the locus ceruleus fires wildly, flooding the brain with wake up signals. Conversely, when you deliberately slow your breathing down, you send inhibitory signals directly to the locus ceruleus, calming the entire brain from the bottom up. You are directly telling your brain's alarm system to stand down. Part 4. A toolkit of breath practices for stress reduction. Armed with an understanding of the why and the how, we can now turn to the practical application. What follows is a curated toolkit of breathing techniques, ranging from foundational skills to in-the-moment interventions. 1. Foundational practice. Mastering diaphragmatic breathing. This is the cornerstone of all effective breathwork. Many of us, due to stress and poor posture, become chest breathers, using only the top third of our lungs. This is inefficient and signals anxiety to the brain. Learning to breathe with the diaphragm is essential. How to practice? Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. Place one hand on your upper chest and the other hand on your belly, just below your rib cage. Breathe in slowly through your nose. The goal is to feel the hand on your belly rise significantly, while the hand on your chest remains relatively still. This ensures the diaphragm is contracting and pulling air deep into the lungs. Exhale slowly through your mouth or nose, feeling the hand on your belly gently fall. Practice this for 5 to 10 minutes each day. It may feel unnatural at first, but with practice, it will become your new, more relaxed default breathing pattern. 2. The regulating breath. Coherent breathing, the 5.5 rhythm. This practice is ideal for building long-term resilience and rebalancing the nervous system. It's excellent to do for 10 to 20 minutes daily as a formal practice. How to practice? Sit or lie down comfortably. Gently close your eyes. Begin by inhaling through your nose to a count of 5, e.g., in 2, 3, 4, 5. Without pausing, exhale smoothly through your nose or mouth to a count of 5, e.g., out 2, 3, 4, 5. The key is to make the breath smooth, light, and continuous, like a gentle wave. Do not strain or hold your breath. Continue this rhythm. If 5 seconds feels too long, start with 4 seconds and work your way up. The goal is a breathing rate of 5 to 6 full breaths per minute. Use a timer or a breathing app if it helps. 3. The emergency break, the physiological sigh. Popularized by neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman. This technique is based on a natural breathing pattern we all do unconsciously to offload carbon dioxide and calm down. It is arguably the fastest way to quell a rising wave of acute stress or anxiety. How to practice? Take a deep breath in through your nose. When you feel your lungs are full, sneak in another short, sharp inhalation through the nose to expand the lungs just a little bit more. Then, exhale everything out in a long, slow, complete sigh through your mouth. Repeat 1 to 3 times. The effect is often immediate and palpable. 4. The balancing breath. Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. This classic yogic practice is deeply calming and is believed to balance the left and right hemispheres of the brain and the corresponding sympathetic and parasympathetic tones in the body. How to practice? Sit in a comfortable position with a straight spine. Rest your left hand on your left knee. Bring your right hand up to your nose. Fold your index and middle fingers down, so your thumb and ring finger are free. Gently close your right nostril with your right thumb. Inhale slowly and deeply through your left nostril. Close your left nostril with your ring finger, so both nostrils are held closed for a brief moment. Release your thumb and exhale slowly and completely through your right nostril. Now, inhale through the right nostril. Hold both closed briefly. Exhale through the left nostril. This completes 1 full round. Continue for 5 to 10 rounds, keeping your breath smooth and even. Part 5. Weaving the breath into the fabric of daily life. The ultimate goal is not just to perform breathing exercises, but to transform your breath awareness into a continuous, life-sustaining skill. Stress doesn't just happen when you're sitting on a meditation cushion, it happens in traffic, in meetings, and in difficult conversations. Create breath anchors. Choose several routine events in your day to act as a trigger to check in with your breath. For example, every time you stop at a red light, take 3 conscious, diaphragmatic breaths. Before you answer a ringing phone, take 1 deep breath. While waiting for your computer to boot up or a kettle to boil, feel the sensation of your breathing. Practice mindful transitions. The space between activities is a fertile ground for stress to build. When you finish a phone call, end a meeting, or get out of your car, pause for 30 seconds. Take 3 deliberate breaths to release the previous activity and arrive freshly for the next one. Breathe with difficult emotions. When you feel a wave of anger, anxiety, or frustration, your first instinct is to resist it or be swept away by it. Instead, try to anchor your awareness in the physical sensation of your breath. The emotion is the storm, the breath is the deep, stable ocean beneath. You are not trying to get rid of the emotion, but to create a stable container for it, allowing you to respond with wisdom rather than react with habit. Conclusion: your most faithful companion. In the grand narrative of our lives, the breath is the quiet, constant rhythm that underpins every experience. It is with us from our first cry to our final release. It is the most intimate, reliable, and democratic resource we possess for navigating the challenges of being human. We have seen that stress, in its essence, is a state of disconnection from our bodies, from the present moment, from our own innate capacity for calm. The conscious breath is the thread that leads us back to ourselves. It is the direct path to regulating an agitated nervous system, calming a reactive mind, and closing the gap between a triggering event and our conditioned response. By engaging with the practices outlined here, from the deep meditative inquiry of anapanasati to the rapid-fire relief of a physiological sigh, you are not just learning a coping mechanism. You are engaging in a profound act of self-regulation and self-compassion. You are taking the reins of your own physiology and psychology, shifting from a passive victim of stress to an active cultivator of inner peace. Let the breath be your anchor in the storms of life. Turn to it in moments of chaos, and it will offer you stability. Befriend it in moments of quiet, and it will deepen your sense of peace. Trust in its simple, life-affirming rhythm. It is your closest guide, your wisest teacher, and your most faithful companion on the path to a less stressful and more vibrantly present life.